Okay, sorry about that. So technical. Again, I want to welcome you to this workshop of financial primer, 12 steps to 12 tips to help secure your financial future. Let me see. Meeting people. Okay. Sorry, let me admit some people that are joining us. Um, this presentation will highlight basically fundamental steps to help you build a secure future. Because without a solid foundation, which these steps would provide, your financial house might be insecure and might even collapse. The steps are very simple that I'm going to talk about, and they're easy to implement and do not require extensive financial knowledge. So, but when you, sorry, let me admit some people here. As I was saying, the steps are really simple to implement. They do not require extensive financial knowledge. All that is required really to implement them is the determination and the discipline to follow them. You know what? One of my favorite quotes, and I'll start with that quote, and I'll talk about, bring it up later on, is a quote by Benjamin Franklin. In that quote, he said, "It is by managing your finance that you write the story of your life. You are both the author and the story's principal character. Resolve to perform what you ought." So let me just repeat that again. It is by managing your finance that you write the story of your life. You are both the author and the story's principal character. Resolve to perform what you ought. So Simplify Wealth Builders. My partner is Diamond Petty, a financial strategist and coach. We're a financial education company, and we do interactive workshops where we help our clients. We develop customized plans for them to help them build their wealth and also be able to transfer their wealth. Before I get into the presentation, I just have a question to ask. What is your most valuable asset? What is your most valuable asset? If you can just type in the chat and let me know what you think your most valuable assets, because it's an interesting question. When I ask that question, I get different answers. You know, I remember asking a young guy what his most valuable asset was, and he told me at that time, I think he had just bought himself one of these super, sports car, and he told me that was his most valuable asset. So my question I'm asking to you, if you're on this call, what is your most valuable asset? What is your most valuable asset? You know, in our world, we believe your ability to earn income is your most valuable asset. The ability to earn income is your most valuable asset, because everything that you do, everything that you want to do for yourself and your family depends on the income that you earn. If you're not earning income, then the things that you want to do don't come to fruition, right? Somebody said energy, somebody said knowledge. Those are good. But if you're not earning income, the things that you want to do will not happen. So in my world, your most valuable asset is your ability to earn income. So the question, I was going to put a poll through, but I'm not sure I'm able to do that. There was some difficulty with that. But let me just explain what I mean by that. Let's take Jack and Jill, a young couple, right? They're in their 30s. They make about $100,000 a year family income. And over the next 30 years, Jack and Jill are going to make earn $3.5 million. And all of you would agree with me that that's a lot of money, right? 3.5 million is what they're going to earn in the next 30 years. So the question is, what will you do with your earning power, and what will you have to show for it in the future? What will you do with your earning power, and what will you have to show for it in the future? Because you're going to earn the money. Like Jack and Jill, they're going to earn $3.5 million. What happens at the end of the 30 years will determine what they do while they earn that money, right? So for some of you on this training, do you think your earning in the next 10 years would be over 250,000 or 400,000 or 5 or 1 million or 2 million? What is your earning potential over the next 10 years? Because basically what's going to happen is you have choices that you have to make. The fact is that you are the only one who could decide what to do with your earning power, and by extension, with your life. The two are inextricably linked. Decisions on what you want to do with your earning power come from questions that you would ask yourself. Questions such as, where do I want to live? What type of house do I want to own? What type of lifestyle do I want? Right? Do I want to pay for my kids to go to college? Do I want to start my own business? What age do I want to retire? Do I want to live, strictly for today or strictly for tomorrow? Or do I want to simply, provide for both of those periods? So if you think of life as a journey, answer to these to questions such as these become your destination along that journey of life. So you're going to earn the money, that we all agree on. What you do with the money along your journey is what's going to determine what the destination is going to look like at the end. So take control of your finance, and your financial future can help you reach your desired destination. With that in mind, what follows now are some hints that may help you plan for a secure future, a future that enables you to live the way you choose to live. But remember, people don't plan to fail. People fail to plan. So let's dive in. The first step is pay yourself first. This is the most basic financial rule. You will never get ahead financially if you spend more than you earn. Turn saving and investing into a regular fixed monthly expense, just like you do your rent, your mortgage, or your car payment. Consider having a fixed amount automatically deducted from your checkbook and put that money towards saving and investing. As your salary increases over time, consider increasing that amount so that you can increase that amount that over time you can continue to save. Give you an example. If you put $100 away every month, right? At the end of 5 years, you will have over $6,000 saved. At the end of 10 years, you'll have over $15,000 saved. So the first rule, the first tip is to pay yourself first. Number 2 is to develop and stick to a budget. Develop and stick to a budget. A budget is your spending plan, a way of tracking your cash flow, keeping track of what is coming in and what is going out. There are a wide variety of budgeting systems out there. Some are simple, some are complicated. But any budget, however, begins with tracking your income and expenses over a certain period. In tracking your income, you have to track your expenses, right? That can be more challenging, tracking your expenses, because you have to look at your checkbook, receipts, and other things that you have. And when it comes to expenses, there are basically 2 categories of expenses that we have. Non-discretionary expenses, expenses such as our rent, our mortgage, our car payment, utilities, food. These are expenses you have to pay every month. expenses you have little control over. But there are also what are called discretionary expenses, expenses such as clothing, entertainment, travel, hobbies. These are expenses where you have more control over. So once you understand your discretionary spending, you will be better able to manage your lifestyle choices. So by tracking your budget, you're able to distinguish what are discretionary from what are not discretionary. And you can look at how much you're putting away for your financial future. So number 2 is develop and stick to a budget. The third one is become financial literate. And that is what part of what you're doing today. Knowledge is power. You know, that's why I want to commend WCE for putting this together, because what they're doing is giving power to you, because knowledge indeed is power. So what are the things that you have to understand? I'll just talk about a few of them. One of them, I think, is understanding interest, you know, the magic of compound interest. Einstein said the magic of compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. People who understand it take advantage of it. People who do not understand it pay for it. You know, compound interest is simply earning money on previous earnings. So let me just give you an example here, right? This is an example of 2 people. One starting putting $100 away every month, $1,200 a year from over a 20-year period. At the end of that period, because they started early at age 25 and stopped 20 years later, they have contributed a total of $24,000 into their account. The other person, Jack, they didn't start, delayed saving for another 10 years. And they contributed to age 65. So totally they contributed $36,000. But look at the difference. Look at the difference of how much each of them had at the end of it. Jill has $275,000 and Jack only has $149,000, even though Jack saved a lot more money than Jill did. So it is important, first of all, that you start early, right? And when you start, you have your money earning compound interest for you, so that your money can grow better. So it is very important that you understand compound interest. Something else that you should understand is risk and reward. You know, we say the higher the risk, the higher the reward. The lower the risk, the lower the reward. There are various risks that are out there. There are market risk. If you put your money in the stock market, there is risk apparent in that, how that affects your money. You have to understand that, the risk and the reward that comes with that. There is liquidity risk. There are some places where you put your money, say in a savings account in the bank, is more liquid. You can go anytime and get it out. If it's in a CD, it's not as liquid as if it's in a checking account, right? So there are liquidity risk. If it's in your 401k, it's not as liquid as it is in a regular savings account. There are also purchasing power risk that we also have to understand. This deals with things like inflation, right? What happens with inflation? There is inflation that would affect the purchasing power. What a dollar bought 5 years ago, that same dollar would not buy the same things today. So these are some basic things that you have to understand about finance, right? You have to understand the various vehicles that are out there that are available for savings and investment. Savings account, checking account, CDs, stocks, mutual fund, insurance, all of these various vehicles of investment, you have to have some understanding of them, right? You have to have financial resources. Part of what you're doing today is part of that resources, is part of that. But you might also need to have financial advisors that help you with decision-making process. So knowledge is power. So get as much knowledge as you can about financial issues to help you reach your goal. The fourth step is to establish and monitor your financial goals. It is a fallacy to equate income with wealth. Some people can literally earn millions of dollars during their lifetime, but consume it all and spend it all, and they don't have anything to show for it, and they end up impoverished. You know, we're all familiar a little bit, if you're a fan of basketball, of some of the basketball players that made millions of dollars and at the end were broke. You see, financial goals can be short-term, they can be intermediate, or they can be long-term. Your short-term goals are goals that you want to accomplish, say, within a year, right? You're looking, I want to put money away because I want to go on vacation. That might be a short-term goal. Your intermediate goals are goals that you're looking to accomplish within 3 to 10 years, right? You want to buy a house. You want to put money away for your kids' college education. But then we also have long-term goals. For most of us, our long-term goals might be to have a great retirement, right? To put money away for retirement. So establish and monitor these goals. These goals, it is not how much money you make, and I'll repeat that, it's what you do with the money that you make. So once you decide on your financial goals, a financial plan becomes your roadmap for reaching those destinations. You know, a financial plan provides the specifics on how and when and what you should set aside. And part of that process of establishing and monitoring your financial goals is to monitor those goals over time and be prepared to make adjustments as your needs and circumstances change. So establish and monitor your financial goals. The fifth tip is to build an emergency fund. Be prepared for life's bumps in the road. Create an emergency fund. Ideally, your emergency fund can consist of 6 to 12 months of your living expenses, but at a minimum, have at least 3 months of your living expenses in emergency fund. And since this is an emergency fund, you normally would want it to be liquid. Put it in a savings account or in a checking account where you can get access to it in case you need it. So establish an emergency fund. That's the fifth tip. The sixth one is distinguish between needs and wants. For somebody's needs might be your wants. Somebody's wants might be your needs. So this is individual to you, right? Needs are essentials of life, like food, clothing, transportation, housing. Those are needs, right? Wants, on the other hand, are not necessities. They do enhance the quality of our life, right? So, for example, food is a need. You need it to survive. But eating out every night of the week might not be a need. That might just be a want, right? So in order to keep your financial roadmap on course, you must opt out to purchase things that are needs, but you don't want to spend too much money on them. Like, for example, you can decide to have a used car instead of a new one, right? Some of the clothes that we might want to purchase, even though it's a need, might be not what we need. We might be going over our budget to do it. So we have to learn to make trade-off. So distinguish between what are needs and what are wants. The fifth one is manage debt. The amount of credit you have is how much money others are willing to lend you. Your ability to manage and repay that says a lot about you. Credit is an important part of your financial picture. And it can be an asset if you use it correctly. On the other hand, credit card debt is the number one obstacle to getting ahead financially. It's amazing that we will spend time on the internet looking for deals, looking for discounts and all of that, looking for coupons, looking for discount codes. To buy something, we buy it at a discount, and then we put it on a credit card. And then now the thing that we're bagging about to get at a discount of 50%, we put it on a credit card that we're going to take 5-10 years to pay it off. So what sense did it make to go through all of that to get a discount? So we have to manage debt, right? Let me give you an example. How long, and you can type this on the chat because I was unable to do the poll, but how long do you think it would take you to pay off a $10,000 credit card if you're paying the minimum payment and your interest is about 15%? How long do you think it would take you? Just type your answer. 2 years, 5, 10. Let me see. Let me just see what the responses are to that, right? Somebody said 20. Who's that? Anthony said 20. Man, Anthony, you came close to it, right? Does somebody else has any number that they think? I think I moved too fast. Any person, anybody else has a number? Anthony said 20. Who said? Somebody else said 15. Actually, it's close to about 28 years. So Anthony, you got closer, man. It's close to 28 years if you take a $10,000 credit card at 15% and you're only making minimum payments. 28 years. So think about that. Tip number 8, don't walk away from free money, right? Employers offer us a variety of employee benefits, 401k, and most companies, if you're in a company that has a matching 401k, matching contribution to your 401k, that is free money. You have to take it. I can tell you several times that I've sat down with clients that have 401k at their jobs, and their job is matching the 401k, but they are not contributing to the 401k. And they've been there for 5-10 years, and they've let free money got away from them year after year after year after year. So don't walk away from free money. Learn what benefits are available to you. Take full advantage of them because they can be worth millions or thousands of dollars in life. So take advantage of all employee benefits that you have. Take advantage of free money. Tip number 9, set up a retirement plan. If your employer has a retirement plan, and especially if they're matching, you have to participate in it. If they don't have one, you have to think of setting one yourself. Because for all of us, eventually we have to retire someday. Whether we like it or not, we're going to retire because every day we get older and retirement is getting closer. Either you decide to retire or the job will decide to retire you. One of those two things are going to happen. So you have to prepare for retirement. You have to make contributions to retirement plans. If you don't have one at work, you want to look at an IRA, you want to look at a traditional or Roth IRA, whichever one fits your financial situation and your financial needs. You want to look at insurance policies to save for retirement. There are various ways you can look at setting up a retirement program. So set one up because you're going to retire someday, and that day might come sooner than you expect. Tip number 10, diversify your portfolio. Basically, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Look at various places that you can have money. 401k, IRA, savings account, insurance policies. These days, a lot of people are getting into cryptocurrencies, right? But diversify your portfolio. People have real estate assets. Diversify your portfolio because risk and reward, times when some industries, some markets are not doing good, others are doing well, right? take the pandemic that we're suffering through. There are people who are making millions of dollars to it because their industry is participating in it. Some businesses are closing down. If you have a restaurant, you're in trouble. If you're in the event planning business, you're almost out of business, right? But there are other people who are making money. So diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket because we don't have control of what happens to the economy. Tip number 11. Purchase appropriate insurance coverage. You see, when we purchase insurance to protect our family, to protect our income, to protect our assets from financial loss, basically what we're doing is we're transferring that risk to an insurance company. So that when the risk happens, when we face a loss, an insurance company is there to provide us with the money to cover the loss that we incur. So there are several insurances that you have to look at. One of them is property and casualty insurance, right? This is your home and your car insurance and liability insurance. This insurance indemnifies you if you have a car accident, if you have damage to your home, or if you have liability insurance or somebody wants to sue you and you have liability coverage, right? So you need to understand and look into property and casualty insurance. You also have to look at life insurance because life insurance protects your beneficiaries in case of loss of your income. In case the breadwinner passes away, life insurance provides income for them to meet the needs because when you die, the needs don't go away. Your family still needs a house to live in. They still need, if you have younger kids, they still need to go to school, to college, they still need to eat. So life insurance provides that protection when the breadwinner dies. You also need disability insurance. Disability, you might get it through your job. Maybe your job has short or long-term disability, which would cover a certain amount of your income. But you also have to look at individual disability insurance because disability insurance replaces the income you need, right? If you event of an accident or an illness. Because how many people can be home sick for 4 or 5 months, not getting a check every 2 weeks and survive it? Most people can't. Most people, it takes missing 2 or 3 paychecks for your financial house to crumble, right? So you need disability insurance in case you get sick or you're in an accident. The fourth type that you need is health insurance, because it covers your medical expenses. If you get sick, you're in a hospital, you need insurance to cover that because medical treatment is very expensive. The fifth type that you need is critical illness insurance. Because what critical illness insurance does, it provides you a large sum of money upfront when you're sick, have a stroke, a serious illness, a stroke, a heart attack, and this gives you a lump sum amount of money that you can use to do things to help alleviate the situation that you're in. I remember I had a client several years ago who had a stroke and had to start using a wheelchair, right? Because of the critical insurance that she had, the money that she received, she was able to use that money to build a ramp for her wheelchair and also to retrofit the doors in her house so that a wheelchair can move around in the house, right? So those are things that your life insurance will not cover. Those are things that your medical insurance would not cover. So critical illness insurance would cover those things, would give you the money that you need to do that. And sixth, you need long-term care insurance. The numbers tell us that 1 out of every 2 person is going to need help with long-term care or nursing home facility or assisted living facility when they get in their 70s. 1 out of 2. So how prepared are you for that? How prepared are you for that? In Maryland, the average nursing home, if you go into a nursing home facilities, cost over $3,000 a month. So think about that, $3,000 a month. If you get one of those fancy ones, you might be looking at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month, right? So think about that. So all these are insurances that you need, because when you get them, you transfer the risk of the loss to an insurance company. And when the loss occurs, they can come in and provide the benefit that you need to help you manage that loss. Tip number 12 is have an estate plan. If you have dependents, regardless of how much you owe, you need an estate plan, because an estate plan gives order to the distribution of your assets according to your wishes, and you can name beneficiary or guardian, especially if you have young children. So let's just talk about that a little bit. What is involved? Probate. Probate is the law. Every state in the United States have probate laws. If you don't have a will, your assets will be determined, the distribution of your assets will be determined by the probate law of your state, right? So if you don't have a will, the courts will decide what to do with your asset and what to do with your kids, if you have minor kids. If you have a will, right, which is the next thing, which is better than not having a will. If you have a will, your will will still have to go through probate for the distributions to take place, right? Because they have to assess whether you have creditors and give creditors time to make demands on your estate. And after all that is done, then your estate would be distributed according to your will, to the wishes in your will. The challenge with the will is that it's a public document. So that means your next door neighbor, that nosy next door neighbor you live by, can go to the courthouse and look at your will and look at everything that is in there, because your will is a public document. But it's better to have a will than not to have a will. The next thing that you might want to look at is having a trust, a revocable living trust. A revocable living trust is a legal entity, right, that can own assets and can control and protect assets. So you might want to think of a living trust while you're alive, because you would be the trustee of that trust and the beneficiary of that trust, and you can set it up to go to whoever you want to. The value of the trust, as opposed to the will, is that the trust is a private document. Nobody can see it unless the people that you allow to see it. So that's the beauty of it. And the trust is a better way to control distribution of assets rather than a will. There are other things that you also need. You also need durable powers of attorneys. Two in particular that most of us need. One is the durable power of attorney for finance, right? This would give an appointed agent the power to make decisions, financial decisions for you if you become incapacitated. The second one that you would need is durable power of attorney for healthcare. So if you're incapacitated, somebody will be there to make important healthcare decisions for you. So all of us need those, at a minimum, those two durable powers of attorneys. And the last thing that you would want to consider is advanced directives, because these allows you to make a determination of your medical care, how that should be administered if you're terminally ill or you're in a coma, right? And the reason all of these things are important is because you help your family members that are left behind to make decisions in accordance with your will, with your wishes, right? Because when you've not made this decision and these decisions are left to the people that survive you, it creates tension. I know all of us are old enough to have heard stories about family squabbles over assets that are left because the person that didn't live in decisions as to what would happen to the assets. Brothers and sisters not talking, right? Kids fighting over properties. All of these challenges can be avoided if we decide to put together all of these things in writing, either through a will, either through a trust, or through healthcare directives or powers of attorney.
De toute façon, il n'y a jamais un
I don't know what that was. So those are the 12 tips. So as I finish here, I want to finish with a story. I think I have enough time for that. Yeah, I got enough time. I want to finish with a story. a few years ago, a man sat at a metro station in Washington, D.C. and he was playing a violin. It was a cold January morning. He played 6 violin pieces written by the great German composer, Johann Sebastian Bach. He played for 45 minutes. During that rush hour, it was calculated that thousands of people went through the subway station. One man stopped and looked at him and kept moving. A little while later, a woman stopped and threw $1 into the till without stopping and continued on her way. The first person that really stopped to pay attention to him was a young boy. And he stopped for a while, and then his mom dragged him away. Hundreds of people went by in that 45-minute period and either just threw a casual glance at the guy that was playing, and some of them didn't even hear or notice him. What a lot of people didn't know was that the gentleman that was playing the violin, his name was Joshua Bell. He was one of the best musicians in the world. He had just finished playing for 45 minutes, as I said earlier, a piece by Bach, and the violin that he was playing was worth, that he was using, that money was worth $3.5 million. 2 days before he played on the subway, Joshua had sold out a concert in Boston where the average seat was $100. Joshua played at the Metro Center incognito on a social experiment that was organized by Washington Post. Because he was playing in a subway station, people assumed he was a street musician playing for handout and paid no attention to his music. They saw and heard what they expected, another street musician. What is the lesson? What is the moral of the story? You know, Robertson Davies had a quote. He said, "The eyes see only what the mind is prepared to comprehend." So if your mind is not prepared, you miss it. Pastor Rick Warren had the saying the similar saying, but in a different way. He said it in this way. He said, "We see with our minds, not with our eyes." So all I'm saying to you is have fresh eyes for all that you've learned this week. Let this week make a difference to you. Let this week not just be another meeting or another seminar that you attend. Prepare your mind so your eyes can see the opportunities that are all around you. If not, you will miss it. The Metro Riders in DC missed one of the most famous violin players in the world because their mind was telling them that he was just another street musician. Your mind can deceive you. Sometimes your eyes can see it, but because your mind is not prepared, you will miss it. You would miss it. It was funny. This happened to my wife and I yesterday. We were at a friend's funeral when we were driving to the cemetery. And we had gone, we're driven for like 15 minutes. We were not following the procession. We left ahead. And my wife said, we're going the wrong way. I said, no, we're not. She said, yes, we're going the wrong way. Because she looked at the program that I looked at, and I looked at the program and I saw that the cemetery was in Laurel. But she looked at the program and she thought the cemetery was in Silver Spring, because that is the cemetery where most of the people from our community are buried. So even though she looked at the program and the program told her where the cemetery was, in her mind, she thought we were going the wrong way. So I told her, just look at the program again, right? So, and all of us have had those experiences where you're looking at something and you know you're looking at it, but your mind is telling you you're looking at something else, until somebody such taps you on the shoulder and say, look at it again. And you say, oh, and your mind and your eyes, come in unison. So the story of Joshua Bell is a story to remind us that sometimes, because our minds are not prepared, we will miss opportunities that come our way. We will miss opportunities that come our way. So I hope this week has been a great week for you, that you have taken your mind is preparing you to take advantage of all that you've heard this week. And I'll finish up with a quote that I started with, by Benjamin Franklin. It is by managing your finance that you write the story of your life. You are both the author and the story's principal character. Resolve to perform what you ought. You are the author, you are the principal character. You are the author, you are the actor. Write the script. Write the script. Write the script. You are the author. I mentioned to Nicole that as part of our commitments to financial education, we are hosting a series of webinars called The Road to Financial Freedom. The Road to Financial Freedom is going to be, we're going to go in depth, deeper into some of the things that I talked about today. For 5 Saturdays, beginning Saturday, March 20th at 12 p.m., we're going to host webinars for the next 5 Saturdays after that. I think you can see the dates here: the 20th, the 27th, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th, right? I'm going to go deeper into some of the things that I spoke about today. In addition to that, I'm having a special guest, Minister Antonio Chicks. He teaches at First Baptist of Glenard, and he teaches at their Leadership Institute. He has agreed to come alongside me and to teach 5 spiritual principles from his Lead Now, the Shape of Christian Leadership course. I promise you it's going to be awesome. Because financially, there are things that are holding us financially, but sometimes they can also be spiritual things that are holding us back in achieving our financial goals. And I am so excited to have Minister Chicks come alongside. As I teach on finance, he is also going to teach on some Christian leadership principles over those 5 weeks. Every week he's going to teach on one principle. And I hope you can get on board with it. I hope you can come and learn and grow with us, right? You can register today. That's the link that you can register on. If you're interested in that, you can get in contact with me, and I can send you the link if you want to register. But I tell you, it's going to be awesome, because we're going to do deep dive into some of the things that I spoke about today, about planning, about budget, about how to get out of debt, some of the things that you might be thinking of. of you want to do. You want to learn more about it, and that's what we're going to do in the next few weeks, beginning on March 8th. So as I finish, if you want to connect with me, you can reach me through our website, Simplify Wealth Builders. You can read that and you can hit the button connect, and you can send me your name, information, or any questions that you have. You can reach me through my email, ralph@gosimplify.com, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn, or you can just call my phone, 240-723-8725. I'm available to talk with you. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be on this call today. And if you have any questions, I don't know if we have enough time, but you can reach out, you can send your questions to me, and we can talk about this and possibly find a time to sit down with you and see how we are able to serve you. And again, thank you for your time, and that's all I have for today. I think I have a few more minutes. Nicole, if you have any questions, I can take a few. You can type them in and I can answer them if they're not too long. But if not, because I know they have to prepare, there is a speaker coming after me, and I don't want to infringe on their time and hinder their presentation. But thank you all, and I will sign off now, and I'll hand you over to Nicole, who will take you to your next session. Again, thank you for having me, and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk with you later. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everybody, for being on. Thank you.